All right, it is time for the 2017 goals check-in. Hey everyone, it is Shannon. I'm really excited to be here today and to do my 2017 reading goals reflection. You guys said that you were interested, so here I am. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna look at them. I started the year off actually mid-January. It was not at the beginning of the year, so I don't feel bad about not getting to my 2018 goals yet. Anyway, but in mid-January, I came up with I did a video and I had 12 goals for reading goals for 2017, and they are a bit strange when I went and looked on my spreadsheet of what I came up with. But I realized as I watched the old video that I wanted to have very tangible goals. I wanted to have ones that at the end of the year I would know whether or not that I did them, that they weren't vague at all. They were all sort of yes or no questions. There was no multiple choice. There was no what's the best answer. I hate what's the best answer. I always get that wrong. I just keep thinking and I'm like, is this? It could be anything. I could write an essay on why this is over this is, but that's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. Okay, let's just get to the actual goals. Number one was to do a bookshelf crossover in January and in July. And yes, I did this. And the idea behind with this is that I have more books than I have bookshelf space. So I have a little storage area that's actually literally just behind here. Yeah, and I put my books, like some books there. And so I just sort of refresh what's available in terms of my unread books. I did this in January, no problem. And then come July, I decided to do my TBR wrapping project. So I wrapped up all of the books that I have not yet read and I put them all on the shelf. I wanted them all out there. So although I did sort of stray from the goal a little bit, I do come to realize that I know that I like to change what's on my shelf twice a year. Because you know what? January's around the corner, and guess what I want to do? I want to change up my shelves. So I'm going to be doing that. More on that in the next goal. So goal number 2 is to have a home for library books and library returns. And I did this. I set it up in the kitchen. I have a 2-bookshelf there, and that's where I had all my library books. But then partway through the year, I realized getting it to the library was a little too challenging, especially getting things returned on time, also carrying stuff. Books are heavy. I don't drive, so there was lots of challenges surrounding this. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to go to the library anymore. Then come November, when I had to go into the library, renew my library card, I was like in the stacks and I was like, I really want to take out library books. So I'm going to give it another go. Hopefully it'll go a bit more smoothly this time. So fingers crossed on that front. So now I actually need this again. So I had a spot. Now I don't have a spot because that ended up being my shelf for books that I have read, and it's full because it's the end of the year. So what I'm going to do this again next year is I'm actually going to clear off this second shelf here, and I'm going to have it be the books that I finish reading throughout the year. I'll start here, and then on the other side I'll have my library books, because right now my library books are literally hiding behind. You see that, just this bit of yellow? That's my library books. They're literally behind, which is not good. Having library books out of sight, not good. So I achieved the goal. I didn't need the goal. I now need the goal again. I have a plan for the goal. So my bookshelves will visually change a little bit next year. Now I wonder if I should put it on the top shelf because it might be more pretty to see spines, but like I'm short, so the top shelf is high. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so that was 2 wins. Number 3 is to do narrative mode exploration idea. So I wanted to read a bunch of books in first person, second person, third person, with different kinds of narrators, with different kinds of narrative time, with different kinds of these kinds of things. There's a great Wikipedia page that explains all of these narrative thingies. But as I started going down this rabbit hole, as I do when I do research and get ideas, I realized 2 things. One, I don't know this topic well enough to create a challenge or an exploration. And 2, I don't think this will enhance my reading enjoyment. It will enhance my reading comprehension, especially from the perspective of writing and how writers write things, but I think that'll actually decrease my enjoyment of reading. And I come to this with a bit of baggage because this happened to me in film. For many years, I was an avid film lover, film watcher. I wrote about films. I had a film blog. I had it was all about film, all about film. And then I hit this sort of threshold of like literally seeing film from a different perspective, both visually, what I'm seeing on the screen, it still happens to me these days sometimes, and then also understanding the message that people are saying in film, why are they saying it, and that made my enjoyment of film go down. And so as I started to go down this rabbit hole of narrative modes, I was like, oh, I really think I'm going to start to pick up on foreshadowing and from the structure, and like foreshadowing is like intentional, but I'm going to pick up on where the story's going. And I actually do, I'm pretty like no spoilers for stuff. And I do figure things out. I've read more thrillers this year, and I figured a lot of them out. But that's like that's a whole other thing. So, but I really do think that going down that rabbit hole and learning more about it, like is going to make me enjoy books less, because also I'm not interested in writing fiction, so it's not an academic exercise in terms of something that would be useful to me from a professional or personal development level. I do write in terms of blogging. I want to get into blogging more next year, but it's always from a non-fiction perspective. It's always from this is what I'm up to. It's not storytelling. So I think I just got to leave this one. I think I just got to leave this one. Although I still think it would be fun to do sort of like a bingo card and just read a book from each of the different narrative modes and not think too hard about it. Like not study it and try to understand it. Just read from different styles, from different traditions, from different perspectives. I think that's still fun. I don't know them well enough to be able to set that up. So if anyone does a bingo card, let me know. Oh my gosh. Number 4. This video is going to be long. I told you it was going to be long. It's okay. It's okay. Number 4 was to take a class on something to do with reading. Didn't do this. I just didn't do it. I signed up for a bunch of different things on Coursera, but I didn't complete anything. I also did buy a book about grammar that I only got through the first section of. I would like to understand grammar more and understand language more, and I do think that would be helpful and find it interesting and engaging, and especially in terms of clarity. And I also just find it, like, I do find it interesting because it's mechanics. I like mechanics. It's like math for words. It makes them make more sense. So I'm such a geek. Anyway, so I understand language through math. We all have our ways, right? Anyway, I would like to, deepen that understanding more in future years. It's been a goal of mine for many, many years. So this year I did not hit it. It's, hopefully I will get further on it in other ways and in other years. So that was a no. Number 5 is to mark up a physical book. This one I did complete. I did this with Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I picked 2 different highlighters, one for words I didn't know the definition to, and one for quotes that I am interested in or whatever. And I actually shout out to Bookstahuda for mentioning that. She actually did a video about marking up books or highlighting and stuff. So I really got some great inspiration from her there. So as you can see, here we go. We have some orange unknown words like, okay, I know what service means. Abashed. That's a good word, apparently. And then some highlighting, and then also some commentary. But in the end, it turns out that I actually really regret doing this. And it's a bit more so of the book that I picked than the experience itself. This is a book I have a fair amount of history with. It took me 3.5 years and at least 3 tries to read it. This particular edition, although it's just like a regular Penguin Classics edition, it was a gift. So now I've marked it up. I didn't really like it. I don't like it enough to replace it. It's also a gift. And I don't want to donate it because now I've marked it up. So although I did the task, I think I failed. And I did go back to just using flags, which I almost never go back to. I use them and I don't go back to them. So I think I still would love to try this again, but with a book that I didn't feel so strongly about. With a book like just a book, a mystery or a thriller or a romance or just a regular fiction novel that I get from a library sale, and just go to town with the highlighter and see what that feels like. Especially for words I don't know. I think that would be more of a fun, engaging way to do about it. This was too heavy. This was too heavy a book to do that. And I felt very complicated about the book. So what ended up being not a great experience. So sad face. Number 6 was to reread either The Feet of Our Tapestry or the Chez Sully series by Jennifer Robertson. I went with The Feet of Our Tapestry, which is by Guy Gabriel Kay. It is a trilogy, a fantasy trilogy, and I loved it. I part of the reason of why I wanted to do this was rereading. You know, we don't always reread because we're chasing all the shiny new. Um, but also because it was a series that I only got halfway through when it was released, and that there was a weight on me for that, and so I'm really glad that I lifted that weight. I also absolutely adored the series, like from such a deep perspective, and it really taught me a lot about what I like in fantasy, because I haven't been connecting to fantasy as much these days, and a lot of the books that people talk about and a lot of the new stuff that's out that I've tried, I haven't really connected with. So part of it was sort of to go back to my roots in terms of what is it that I like about fantasy. And I noticed with The Feet of Our Tapestry, one of the things about it is that the characters are pretty mature when they start out. They have a fair amount of life experience already, and what they go through is very powerful and quite deep. So it's not like a coming of age story, which is fine. I love coming of age stories, but there was a lot of realness to it, and that just really, I think, is what made it really work for me. So I'm gonna still continue to try and try some of the shiny new series, but there's a lot of books out there, so it doesn't have to be necessarily something new. It feels off kilter when it's like, you know, what people are reading now in the genre that I love are not necessarily books that I like. And, you know, being part of a community, it's kind of hard to always be like, oh yeah, I didn't like that one. Hey, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Like, it just gets kind of down. So anyway, so hopefully I will find some shiny new ones that I like, and also some from any time that I like. So yeah, so that was a success. That was a success. Yay, that was a success. Next up was to do the Read Harder challenge. And this was a bit of a fail. I ended up doing 12 out of the 24 challenges, which is pretty good. But with the exception of one title, I never actively pursued the book because of the challenge. I think at the beginning of the year I came up with some ideas, and every once in a while I would check in, but I mostly sort of slotted something in after the fact. Oh yeah, I read a debut novel. Yeah, this was that. So I kind of failed on that. But I think it's okay because I think what happened here was that readathons took the place of reading challenges, and that was what got me engaged in cultivating TBRs and going outside my necessarily like my comfort zone and pushing the boundaries and trying to find new and different things. So I think that the readathons took the energy that the Read Harder challenge had for me that I was hoping for, and also there was an engagement piece, they have a Goodreads group, and I thought I would connect and talk there, but I ended up not doing that. But I did connect and talk to people through readathons and just generally. So it was not a success, but I did get, I think, the result that I was looking for, but just in another way. So half marks. Number 9 was to do a secret read. Oh, and this one's a bit challenging to talk about. So I have a couple of titles on my to be read list or whatever, and some of them are really, really well known. Alrighty, we are back. It's kind of hilarious that for some reason my phone decided to stop filming when I was talking about my secret read. Maybe I'm not supposed to talk about it. Anyway, I did this. I am really happy that I did this, and I would really recommend every once in a while to do this. And I am a big fan of sharing. I love sharing, but we can get really used to sharing and getting really used to, responding and connecting and engaging, whether or not it's through YouTube or through Instagram or through Twitter or through Facebook or through all of the things. I'm like, there's more, right? There's more. Tumblr. There's so many. There's so many. And Goodreads, for crying out loud. Like, the moment you put a book on Goodreads, you already see what its star rating is collectively. So you can be impacted by all of these things. So I thought it would be nice to read something without any influence. Just read it, enjoy it, or not enjoy it, whatever, process it on my own, and I'm really glad that I did. And I would highly recommend doing this, especially for books that have a lot of weight in one direction or the other. Either they're well loved or they're hated. Just read it and have your own experience, you know, or something that's super new and nobody has talked about yet, which is hard. Actually, these days that's hard because so many people get arcs, but I found it was very valuable, and I think I will continue to do this as the years go on. And yeah, so Secret Reads. Yeah. I know I'm not going to say what it is because that would defeat the purpose. I realized I actually jumped over something, so I'm going to go back to number 7, which was to read one really, really big book and one really, really small book. And I definitely read a really, really small book. I have read a lot of short titles this year, but one of the smallest books I read was How to Use the Chinese Abacus, which is just like a little 20-page pamphlet, pretty much, on how to use an abacus. And I figured it out in terms of addition and subtraction. Once it got to multiplication and division, I lost it. I did not understand, but that's okay. I was actually I mostly can understand how to read an abacus, not necessarily use it, but still, that's more than before. And then in terms of a really, really long book, I didn't finish start to finish something super long. I was thinking 600 plus. I did start, but DNF'd The Stand at about 450 pages, which is longer than a lot of the books that I read this year. But I'm going to include, as my really long book, The Complete Works of H.P. Lovecraft, because that is over 1,000 pages long, and I would hazard a guess that I read at least 600 of those this year. So I'm going to count it as a win. And I think I like this goal too. I think I think I have no problem reading short works. I do that all the time. But I think tackling one really big book a year is worth doing. So I probably will want to do that next year. I want to come up with all new goals and keep all the old goals. Stay in the now, stay in the now. Okay, what's next? Number 10 was to comment on more videos, connect with the community more, participate in book clubs, buddy reads, this kinds of thing. And so this one, I'm actually very, very happy to say that I actually really did this, and I'm so happy that I did. One of the challenges that I have in terms of connecting is that I watch YouTube while I'm lying down resting and watching it on the TV through my PS4, and there's no way to leave a comment. Like, literally, there's no way to do that. So I just came up with a really low-tech solution, as I just have a scratch pad and a pencil beside me, and, you know, I just write a comment, and then the next day, or when I'm up to being at the computer, I just look at my watch history and I leave the comments. Like, really, wasn't that hard, but it took a while to establish the habit. And like, for so long I just watched videos and liked them and left it at that. But I'm like, there was a lot of people I was watching a lot of the time, and I really wanted to say, hey, like, congratulations on getting this done, or that wrap up looks amazing, or oh, if you really like this book, you'd like that book, or you know, thank you for the recommendation. I did read this thanks to you. All of these things I just wasn't leaving, and now I am, and I feel so much more engaged with the community, and it has been just so great and so wonderful to connect with people, because I think that's, you know, a lot of us, that's what we're here sharing for, is that we want to talk and share our love of books and, you know, connect. And so I feel like I finally did that. And after being on YouTube for several years, not only here but also I had a film channel too. But I was, for some reason, I watched everything on my computer then, so it was a lot easier to comment. Anyway, so I finally figured out, I think, how to crack the nut on that, and I also participated in a lot of readathons, which really helped me find a lot of new to me people this year, and that just was so perfect, because you got to see what people are reading and see how it went and see how the wrap-up went, and so you could connect, and I found so many more people, and it's just been really wonderful. It's been a really, really great year on YouTube for me, so I'm really happy. Finally figured my rhythm there, so yay! Speaking of finding rhythm, my 11th goal was to find a comfortable way to read really big books. Really big books. The big ones. Like, they're really big. This is my Shakespeare collection. Thankfully, I actually found a complete Kindle Shakespeare works, so I don't read from that one very often, but like, this Grimm's, like, and I have a Hans Christian Andersen, and it's bigger, and I have the Foundation trilogy, and it's bigger. So this is one of those sort of like, not, I was going to say bitter pill to swallow, that's a little harsh. I did figure out a solution for this in terms of really large books, and because for me the most comfortable way to read them is open face on a desk, but that's actually not very comfortable for me. So I just have to do it in short periods of time. Or have them open face on the bed and lie on my stomach and read them that way for a couple pages. Because reading them like this is not going to happen. It's too hard on my hands, and it's too hard on my body. So yeah, I don't love the solution that I came up with this, but I realized there is a solution. So yay! In some ways it's okay, because like the fairy tales, you read a couple pages in a couple minutes and that's no big deal. And also with Shakespeare, I usually read a scene at a time, or maybe an act at a time, so it isn't too bad. But generally, like, it's not very comfortable to read really large books, but I have found a solution. It's just not a great solution, so yay. There was much rejoicing. And we are here to the final and the last goal, which is redeem and enjoy the Harlequin members rewards points system. Yes, Harlequins, yay. I read a lot of romance novels. I enjoy a lot of romance novels, and I finally figured out a way to do this, and I feel like it's what had happened is I had collected a lot of points but not redeemed a lot of points. So I'm like, if I'm doing all of these quizzes and submitting these receipts and all this kind of stuff, I better also get the rewards. And so I finally ended up just like, one part of it was easy. I just redeemed the awards so I could get the ebooks. I always go for ebooks. And I also figured out an easier way to submit the receipts. You can just email them. I didn't realize you could email them. Shout out to Sarah from Not Just Romance Novels. She talked about this, and I was like taking a screenshot and creating a PDF and uploading it to the site, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I don't know how I missed that you can just email them. So I just emailed them. So now I can submit them really easily. The points come through like really quickly. And I've also figured out a way to convert, because they come in EPUB, which is for Kobo, and I figured out a way to convert them so I can read them on my Kindle. And I got cut off yet again, so I knew this was going to be a long video. I didn't know it was going to be this long. My goodness, it is snowing yet again. The snow will never stop. Anyhow, in short, I was able to figure out how to redeem, enjoy, and submit and all of that stuff for the Harlequin rewards point system. I knew the mechanics of it pretty well, but now I figured out an easier way to do stuff and also an easier way to enjoy the books, because I do read a lot of Harlequins and I buy a lot of Harlequins, so it's great to read them, enjoy them, and get more of them. It's a happy cycle there. It's a happy cycle. Overall, I feel like 2017 has been a really great rating year. I hit a lot of, like, outside of these goals, I hit a lot of high marks that I will probably never hit again, like 200 titles and finishing the H.P. Lovecraft and finishing all of the books that were on my currently reading list for more than a year and all of these things. But for me, I think some of the big highlights were actually doing readathons and connecting and finding more people and just, having a lot of fun doing the videos, sharing what was going on, getting recommendations, and all of this good stuff. So I think overall it has been really, really good. Let me know how your 2017 went. If you have done a reading reflections video, I'm not yet ready to set goals. I'm with Elizabeth on this one, from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm like, I need to be in 2018 to talk 2018, so we only have a day or two left of 2017. Enjoy it. Have a happy new year. And I am going to do my favorites. I am going to do a separate video for that. Yeah, it's just going to be all videos all day today. I'll probably put it up tomorrow on New Year's Eve. Have a happy and safe New Year, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.